Warning. Warning. You are about to enter the propaganda report with Brad Binkley.
That's right.
Warning. Warning. You are about to enter the propaganda report with Brad Binkley.
That's correct. You have entered the propaganda report
Warning.
with Brad Binkley.
Warning.
What's up, chat?
You are about to enter the propaganda report.
What's up, Neil?
With Brad Binkley. Warning. Warning.
Time to get the effect
You are about
off.
to enter the propaganda report with Brad Binkley.
All right, you have entered the propaganda report. I am your host, Brad Binkley. Thank you for joining me this very wet evening in Atlanta, Georgia, as we are under the threat of a tornado here in downtown. So if we get swept away in a twister, just know it's all because we're willing to expose the truth in the midst of a real threat. There's a tornado bearing down right now on us, but we're still here because ain't no tornado gonna expose propaganda. So we have to do it. Welcome to the show, guys. Tonight, we're going to talk about the most shocking story of the day, to me anyway, which is the passing of media pioneer Ted Turner at the age of 87 years old. The shocking part of this story, to me, wasn't that he died. It was that he was still alive. I swear I've heard a number of reports of his demise before. Maybe I'm mistaken. I don't know. Not trying to make light of it. I just didn't realize he was still alive. So, perhaps in true Ted Turner fashion, his death will eventually bring as much controversy as his life did. Once it becomes what I'm sure some will argue, another example of the Mandela effect. We'll get back to that story here in a moment. I want to start first with not saying that Ted Turner was somebody who was hidden, because he definitely was not. He was always out in front, put himself out there, very good publicity man. But in some context, he may or may not have been hidden, depending on whose argument you believe. And some of you already know what I'm talking about. And yes, it relates to the Georgia Guidestones. We're going to get to that. But in that spirit, I want to start with a couple of passages from the father of propaganda himself, Edward Bernays, who wrote in his 1928 book, make sure we're rolling here. What's up, chat? Yeah, that's right. Mandela. Yeah, he wrote in his 1928 book, Bernays did. I'm going to read straight from the book here. I don't have it on my screen, so my apologies there. This is chapter 3 called The New Propagandist. Let me turn this off so we're running a little smoother here. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Rid of that. No, that's not what we're talking about. We need to close this out is what we need to do. Okay. So here's what Bernays said. He wrote, wait, wrong chapter. I'm retarded. The New Propagandist. Who are the men who, without our realizing it, give us our ideas, tell us whom to admire and whom to despise, what to believe in, what to believe about the ownership of public utilities, about the tariff, about the price of rubber, about the Dawes plan, about immigration? Who tells us how our houses should be designed, what furniture should be put in them, what menus we should serve at our table, what kinds of shirts we must wear, what sports we should indulge in, what plays we should see, what charities we should support, what pictures we should admire, what slang we should affect, what jokes we should laugh at. If we set to make a list of these men and women because of their position in public life, they might fairly be called the molders of public opinion. We could quickly arrive at an extended list of persons mentioned in the who's who. It would obviously include the president. Then he goes on to mention the obvious molders of public opinion. I'm going to skip past that part. Then he picks up to say such a list would comprise several thousand people. But it is well known that many of these leaders are themselves led, sometimes by persons whose names are known to few. Many a congressman, in framing his platform, follows the suggestions of a district boss whom few persons outside the political machines have ever heard of. The presidents of chambers of commerce mold the thought of local businessmen concerning public issues, but the opinion which they propagate are usually derived from some national authority. A presidential candidate may be drafted. I'll say that again. A presidential candidate may be drafted in response to overwhelming popular demand, but it is well known that his name may be decided upon by half a dozen men sitting around a table in a hotel room. In some instances, the power of invisible wire pullers are flagrant. The power of the invisible cabinet which deliberated at the poker table in a certain little greenhouse in Washington has become a national legend. This book was written in 1928, by the way. There was a period in which the major policies of the national government were dictated by a single man, Mark Hanna. A. Simmons may, for a few years, succeed in marshaling millions of men on a public platform of intolerance and violence. Such persons typify in the public mind the type of ruler associated with the phrase invisible government. Some might even call that deep state, depending on the era. But we do not often stop to think that there are dictators in other fields whose influence is just as decisive. But we do not often stop to think that there are dictators in other fields whose influence is just as decisive as that of the politicians I have mentioned. And then he says, and this will be it from Edward, there are invisible rulers who control the destinies of millions. It is not generally realized to what extent the words and actions of our most influential public men are dictated by shrewd persons operating behind the scenes. Now, what is still more important, the extent to which our thoughts and habits are modified by these authorities. In some departments of our daily life in which we imagine ourselves free agents, we are ruled by dictators exercising great power. You know, I didn't use the word shrewd. That's right, Ryan. Live reading of all Edward Bernays. Easy read. This book is propaganda. I don't know who gets the proceeds from that since he died at the ripe old age of 2,000 years old. There's videos of him talking about this stuff when he's very old and creepy. Says the word titillating way too much. But nevertheless, always relevant to go back to that. I think he over-exaggerates some of these levers of power and the power that he attributes to these hidden figures because I think he perceived himself as one of those. And he liked to think that he was one of the behind-the-scenes guys. Now, that doesn't discount the power that's there. Well, the reality is we all have the power within ourselves to recognize this and recognize the divide and conquer tactics. But nevertheless, take that, interpret it how you will. Back to Ted Turner, who died today. Again, I didn't realize he was still alive. I don't think. I just know that I had heard reports of him dying. But on social media nowadays, you hear that all the time. Oh, wait, before we do that, the little greenhouse that Bernays is referring to, it became a symbol back in the day of political corruption during the Warren G. Harding administration. There was something called the Ohio Gang, and It was this house that was operated by, I believe it was a congressman, Jesse Smith, who was an associate of the attorney general. So he wasn't a congressperson. He was an associate of the attorney general, Harry Daugherty, and he served as a private off-the-books headquarters, or this house did, for influence brokering. And it became the focal point of scandals during the Hardin era, with many illegal deals being brokered behind closed doors, and it represented at the time a shadow government that Edward Bernays brags about there being the existence of. It's one of the proven examples of what everyone really knows what's going on, is that we don't actually see many of the faces of the people who are pulling the strings. You got to have the front man, and you got to have the people behind closed doors, because the front man is the publicity person. You know, they're good at PR. They're good at triggering people and provoking. It's like, what's that show, Boys? Which is a funny story about Boys that came out recently. There's a character on Boys. It's this black chick who her power is that she can see all future possibilities or something like that. So she is like the brains behind Homelander, who is the power and becomes the face of the soups. And there was a story recently about one of the creators of the show who was pissed off that Trump retweeted or truthed that photo that everybody said Trump thinks he's Jesus. I personally don't think Trump knew what that photo was. I think people attribute things to Trump when they want to interpret him in a certain way, and then because I'll call him dumb sometimes, I'll call him smart other times. He doesn't read books, yet he's got Mein Kampf. He reads it every night. I personally also have read that book. I think everybody should, because it illustrates propaganda tactics. People telling you not to read it are telling you to be blind to propaganda tactics that were some of the most effective and that actually came from us. Nevertheless, the show creator, or whoever this guy was, he was one of the creators, he said that they were making this storyline, spoiler alert, where Homelander becomes the new God. He is the church of Homelander, basically. And he becomes Jesus. And that was supposed to be a parody of reality. And the show has become very woke, which it's still a pretty good show, but it has hurt the show a little bit because it focuses a little too much on that. It's like, just be a show. We don't need your political agenda. But the creator said that Trump ruined that because this meme that he shared, which it probably wasn't him, it was probably one of his, whoever controls his accounts. I don't think he sits around tweeting all day. In fact, they showed a video of him. He walks around talking and people tweet for him. There's like 18 people that are doing it. And somebody shared that. And he said that ruined the show. He said that this was supposed to be a parody, but Trump did it before us, and it ruined our big parody of Homelander becoming Jesus, which it's a weird mindset there because that presumes that everybody watching sees Trump as Homelander. And I see how they're trying to imply that kind of thing, but I don't know that it's that obvious to people who aren't in politics, who aren't following politics all the time. I don't think it is. It just shows the obsession that these people in Hollywood have. Get over, just make art. Stop being gay all the fucking time. You can dislike Trump and also not make all of your art be obsessed with him. Because it's a turnoff because it makes people roll their fucking eyes. Even if people don't like Trump or don't like the war in Iran, which I don't like the war in Iran. I roll my eyes when I see that, and I say, not again. Do something original. Nevertheless, back to Ted Turner. What's up? No, what's up, Ryan? What's up, everybody? Thanks for hanging out. So Ted Turner, just like any human being who's ever existed, he's going to have things that you like about him and that you can learn from him, as well as things that you don't like about him. And Ted Turner was a very wealthy, bombastic individual. A little bit of, I guess, I can't say he's Trump before Trump because he's only a few years older than him. But a couple things Ted Turner did I'm going to try not to be repetitive from things you've heard all the time. Obviously, he created CNN, the first 24-hour news network. Whether you think that's good or not, it shaped modern media as we see it today, which modern media is a propaganda apparatus. He owned the Braves and the Falcons. I don't care about the Falcons, but the way he owned the Braves is he spent money on them, so I like that. Current owners don't spend any money on them. As the owner of the Braves, he was pretty hilarious. In 1977, he once came down from the front office and decided he was going to coach. He just decided to coach one game. The Braves had lost like 16 games in a row, I think. And he told the manager at the time to take, 10 days off, I think he said. And he didn't know anything about the signs because you have the bunt signs, the steal signs that baseball players use. If you've played baseball, you know what I'm talking about. He didn't know any of those. But he said, if I'm smart enough to save $11 million to buy the team, I ought to be smart enough to manage it. So he went down and he managed for a game, and they lost. And he had a wet T-shirt contest for college students afterwards, where the winner, what did the winner get? The winner got, you don't see this now. This would be very inappropriate as for somebody who was a liberal, Ted Turner, to have something like this. So the winner of the T-shirt contest, it was a sorority girl from Georgia State at the time. The prize was $500 and a kiss from Ted Turner. I mean, that's the type of work that Eric Swalwell wishes he would have thought of. You know, that's back in the day when even the liberals were let's get some hot chicks in here and get their T-shirts wet. You can't see that nowadays. Swalwell might do it behind closed doors, but only at gunpoint, I think. Allegedly. I haven't read any stories about that. I'm just imagining if this is true, what else is true? Maybe. Nevertheless, yeah, I can respect that. I can respect that from Ted Turner. Let me share that with you. Yeah, I know. Committee of 300. We're getting to that. We're getting to the stuff you guys don't like about Ted Turner. Ted Turner was a rich dude who wanted less people on the planet. That's what he was. That's what he really was. And I think maybe Jane Fonda had a lot of effect on that because he got really big into feminism and environmentalism. I think trying to get that Jane Fonda puss. I think that was a major motivator. And I mean, that puss will motivate a lot of dudes to do a lot of things they wouldn't do otherwise. And she's a hottie back in the day. Some might say she's not bad now. I don't like her very much either. What do they call her? Because she was protesting the Vietnam War she was with Viet Cong or something. And yeah, that's it right there on screen. And she had prisoners of war from the U.S. there. She's a lifetime. She's an actress, but she's mostly been a protester her entire life. Why is there two of these? All right, check this out. Here's the advertisement from the Braves back in the day. College night at the Braves Stadium. All students admitted at child's prices. $3 field level, $1.50. Upper level, 50-cent general admission. Holy smokes. This was 1977. The post-game fun will include wet T-shirt contest, Miller beer party band. Bring your friends and your T-shirts and have a great... I mean, that sounds like Capital City in Milledgeville when I'm in college is what that sounds like to me. So, good for Ted Turner for doing that until old Jane came in and ruined everything for everybody. He might not have even been woke before that. You probably have a few brothers in Vietnam. All right. So Ted, a couple others. He was called Captain Outrageous, Mouth of the South. You guys all know that. We don't need to. Who cares about that? He once advocated during an interview for Americans having no more than 2 children, and he said that the People's Republic of China's one-child policy should be implemented here. Obviously, he had Turner Network Television, created Captain Planet, probably for Jane Fonda, rebranded the wrestling, or he basically created World WCW, and had a lot of land, nevertheless. Okay, here's the thing I didn't know, or maybe I knew and forgot, and then we'll get to R.C. Christian, which I know some of you guys are, that's what you guys are going straight to, is R.C. Christian and the Georgia Guidestones. I know that. Ted Turner stated once, this is before CNN debuted, right before, he said, "We won't be signing off," talking about CNN, "until the world ends." Because of this 24-hour news idea. "We will be on and we will cover the end of the world. And that will be our last event. We'll play the national anthem only one time, which is going to be when the network debuts. And then when the end of the world comes, we'll play Nearer My God of Thee. We'll do that before we sign off." And to this, he commissioned a video recording of the military marching band playing this hymn. He referred to the tape for reporters, noting that he made it, but it was kept secret for a long time. But in 2015, it was leaked from the CNN database, they say. Anything that's leaked is a little suspicious to me. But this was called like the Doomsday video that he made. And I'll play some of it for you. This is the Doomsday video made by Ted Turner. Haha, you said it as I was typing it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. What's up, Zach? Yeah, well, that's why he pre-made the video. As he's going into work, he had the video ready. Okay. It's kind of boring, honestly. If the world's ending, I'm not taking the time to watch this. But it's like he's making an artifact so that it can be the last thing that the next iteration of humanity finds, I guess. It says on screen the tape. Hold on, let's say. The tape you're about to see will be broadcast on CNN when humanity can no longer exist. I don't know what this house is here, but there's great news. Sounds like a siren. So he like commissioned this. I'm gonna skip forward a little. That's what he played. That's it. That's his end of the world thing. Was that on screen, or did I not even put that on screen? You still got to work. Yeah, we all still got to work. It'd be nice to have that amount of money where you can do that. Given he was a smart entrepreneur, nevertheless, but was very much a climate alarmist. And kind of a depopulationist, as we saw with a 2-child policy. And some believed him to be a very mysterious man named R.C. Christian, which is a pseudonym that was used by the anonymous figure who commissioned the Georgia Guidestones here in Georgia that were destroyed a few years ago with an explosion. They have not solved the mystery of who did that yet. But R.C. Christian is believed to be, that name is believed to be a reference to the Rosicrucians, the Rosicrucian order, fueling the conspiracy. And the message of the Guidestones, for those who aren't familiar, It's a post-apocalyptic age, which we just saw that he had a video ready for the apocalypse. It focused on, among other things, population control. We know his stance on the one-child policy in China. Unity environmentalism, something else he was a major supporter of. And it outlined the motivations of the Guidestones. It was a huge landmark for conspiracy theorists to investigate. And there's a number of theories on who R.C. Christian was. There's a book associated with it. What's the name of that book? It's not that long of a book. Elbert County, Georgia is where it is, or where it was anyway. The book was called Common Sense Renewed, and you can download that online. I don't think it's very long, and it tells the motivations behind it. Of all the theories of people who R.C. Christian is, many point to none other than Ted Turner. Is it true? I don't know. Possibly. You heard there was a photo of Lou Diamond Phillips found by the blood of Guidestones, Steve. Well, I can neither confirm nor deny that. Noam says he has an alibi. Ryan Bradley says they'll find fleshlights in 1,000 years and say, what a funny drinking vessel that I can put my dick in. Maybe. I mean, isn't that the first thing people do when they find new, strange-looking technology is how can we screw it? That seems to be... It would be funny to get one and give it to your friend and just say, here, maybe pour a drink for him. What is this? Oh, it's a new cup. It keeps the cup cold or warm. Trick your buddy into drinking from a fleshlight. That'd be a good prank, by the way. If anybody does it, tell me. Record it, send it to me. All right. Oh, he also did this thing that was with TNT, which is, I think it's interesting because of he was a creative guy. There's no doubt about it. Kind of like similar to Trump in that there's things you don't like about him, but there's things you can learn from him when it comes to publicity and getting attention and understanding, or at least thinking in a way where you're thinking about the audience and how to affect them and how to capture attention in an attention economy before the attention economy came when it comes to Ted Turner. All of the TNT, the Turner, when the Braves were on a TBS, which was great back then, they would always start at 7:05, 5 instead of 7, like everything else. And the reason for that is because the idea was that it kept you locked into that channel. That's one thing. Since everything else was from other networks, they started at like 7. If the thing that you're watching didn't end until a little bit after 7, and then you go to the other channel, you miss the first few minutes of whatever it is. And sometimes, or the idea was that if you miss the first few minutes, you're going to go, oh, man. But you can still catch the beginning of whatever's on Turner and switch back. And it also showed up differently in the TV guide grid. So everything else is lined up the same, and your brain sees a pattern, and it's hard to see things that look the same. That broke the pattern. And so your brain would stop at that. I don't know that they thought about it in that way, but that's the idea behind it, is that it breaks the pattern. And yeah, it's an interesting idea that was tried. I don't know if there's been studies on the effectiveness of it, but it's a smart way of thinking, in my opinion. All right, now let's talk about the UFOs, because that's what we have to talk about now. The UFO psyop. Trump said the UFO files are going to be released, and there's some interesting things in there. What I want you to notice in these clips I'm going to play a number of clips, is not just what they say, what they don't say. Because all of the headlines or the titles of these videos or the narrative around it always imply UFOs, aliens, disclosure. Is that what's said? Is the claim in many of these headlines and videos, the title, actually what is communicated. Always something to look for in propaganda. They use headlines and subheadlines to shape the perception. Oftentimes, it doesn't match. Sometimes it does. Let's see if it does. Here, I don't even know what this video is. What is this? Okay, so starting with Fox News, by the way. Why is Fox News leading the charge in this alleged UFO disclosure experiment that's going on here? They are. Sean Hannity would have shamed people and mocked them years ago. Now he's one of the guys leading it. We're going to get to him. This is Steve Doocy or Peter Doocy, Steve Doocy's son, talking to, what's this guy's name? Jeremy Corbett. And they're talking about they're talking about Trump's comments, and are aliens going to be released or revealed? Right here.
Bell is an investigative journalist and the co-host of the Weaponized podcast. He knows more about this than anybody, and the new movie about him, Sleeping Dog, and UFO Disclosure, is excellent. I watched it yesterday. Jeremy, there are 46...
Okay, by the way, right there, he's marketing a movie or documentary or something. People are going to do that, but this is marketing.
Videos that Congress wants the Pentagon to declassify videos that Congress wants yesterday. Jeremy, there are 46 videos that Congress wants the Pentagon to declassify. The Pentagon missed the deadline to do it. But will these 46 videos be convincing enough to have Americans saying, I have no doubts aliens have visited Earth?
Will the 46 videos be enough to say I have no doubt aliens have visited Earth? That's like the headline. Look at his face there. What a weird face he's making there.
You know, I think that these are data points. I think these 46 videos are really important. I think the American public should be able to see them, and so does Congress. They
It doesn't answer the question. They're data points.
Specifically identified these 46 videos because they know that these videos exist. They are designated UAP by our own military and intelligence services. I have been exposed to a number of these. In fact, George Knapp and I provided that list to Congress. We've actually released some of those videos. So the American public is ready for this. Now,
They're ready for it. After this series of clips I'm going to show you, I'm going to play you a clip from DARPA from a few years ago, from 2021, that, in my opinion, shatters this entire narrative. But we'll hear what they're trying to propagate to us first.
Going to tell us what the end result is going to be. It's another data set of footage the American public can look at.
So on screen, for those of you who are just listening, it looks like they're showing, I don't know what this is. There's like a green circle, and there looks like a couple reflections of light in a green circle for maybe, I don't know what we're looking at here. What are you showing me with these images on screen?
End result is going to be, it's another data set of footage the American public can look at. But here,
what is that? What is it, a dick? Is it a dick going up through a green flare?
Is what I know for fact, Peter. There are machines, there are craft of unknown origin that fly with impunity in our restricted airspace, and our government has been assessing this as a national threat for decades. The jig is up. People now know UAP are real. But what are UAP? Who are flying these machines? Who made these machines that can outpace, outmaneuver, and outperform our greatest war fighters? That's the question.
And that is the question. That is the question that has been central to this narrative since the beginning of it. Is, bottom line, regardless of whether those propagating these talking points are attributing it to adversaries or insinuating that there are aliens among us, the same underlying message has been delivered, which is that there's technology that exists that is much, much better than ours, and therefore this is a threat. And if we separate ourselves from the alien narrative for a second, think about what that means. If our government that spends more money on military weapons than any other, country in the world, not even close, that says, well, shit, we better spend a ton more money on weapons. This is a reason to be afraid, and this is a reason to justify more and more spending on the military-industrial complex, regardless of who it is determined that these advanced technology crafts come from. And a couple numbers here. In 2023, the average American's income taxes funded over $5,000 worth of military war technology spending. It's over 35% of the average individual's taxes. Over half of those went directly to weapons contractors like Lockheed Martin, who profit off of war. We all know that. And in contrast, I'm against taxes altogether, by the way, but I'm just giving you the comparison of where the tax money that we do give is spent. In contrast to that over $5,000, $516 were spent on food stamps, $110 on child tax credit. This is by far, war technology, the largest spending that our taxpayer dollars are put to. And a lot of people don't like that. And if you want to amp that up, expedite the development of technology, you can do what they're doing in Ukraine. You can send a bunch of technology to old technology and then technology that you're testing and have them help you develop it, or do programs like USAID used to do to fund some of the development of like the DIA app over there. This is a reason to get people to beg to spend more money on military industrial complex. Please take my tax dollars to spend money on that. That's always been the underlying message of this narrative, regardless of the explanation. He continues. And by the way, what he didn't say is he didn't say aliens. In fact, he very specifically did not say aliens. He didn't answer the question. And these are blips on a radar, by the way, that we're looking at.
You were just talking about this.
I mean, what is that? It looks like a potato on a radar, or a manatee. Is that a manatee on a radar we're looking at? I mean, you could whip this up in Adobe Premiere Pro. Give me a break.
Got video that we can put up on the screen.
It's a flying manatee.
One of the videos that your sources helped you guys get out of a government vault.
That's literally just the ocean. They're literally just showing the ocean under a radar. It's not even anything on the radar. Look at that. That is just the ocean. They just put these images on screen and they associate it. Look, the lower third, filmmaker on fight to uncover the truth about UAPs. And the brain fills in the blanks because we want to believe.
You guys get out of a government vault. It is a UAP over Syria and
war fighters. That's the question.
And so you were just talking about this. We've got video that we can put up on the screen. One of the videos that your sources helped you guys get out of a government vault. It is a UAP over Syria in 2021 flying at an impossible speed, demonstrating instantaneous acceleration. This is the video.
So he describes the video, then he shows the video at an impossible speed, but what we see is a dot on a radar. We have no idea what we're looking at.
People will look at this and say, well, it could be China, it could be Russia, it could be somebody else.
A video game. It could be a video game.
But when you see this and the other videos, some of the 45 other videos that you have seen, what do you think?
Yeah, look, we do not have the capability, unfortunately, for instantaneous motion. The idea of inertial effect and what would happen, this is baffling to the intelligence community. What George and I put out, it is their analysis that this is demonstrating, this craft, which is not aerodynamic. When you look at this video, it instantaneously shoots off to the right once the Reaper drone got a weapons grade lock on it. So its ability to maneuver is far beyond anything that China, Russia, or the US has. Look, this is a known.
I mean, isn't it interesting that he's describing these things and they're showing this video? They're not explaining the video. They're not addressing the obvious questions of credibility of what this video is. Do you guys think a filmmaker could make a video like this that looks similar? And I do. In fact, I know they can. If I spent 2 hours, I probably could.
Secret on the inside, it's an open secret that UAP are real and that they're able to evade sometimes detection, but absolutely our weaponry. And it's
Remember that. Remember what he's saying here for the DARPA video I'm going to play for you in a moment.
issue because they are oftentimes loitering over sensitive critical infrastructure within the United States. This is not me saying this. This has been admitted by our own administration and government. I think we're closer than ever. The intent is to bring the truth forward to the American public. We are closer than ever. And it's just...
He might believe this. I don't know. Maybe he believes this.
Got to be done now.
And my last question, we have 2 minutes left in the show. You've reported that some of these UFO files for generations have been kept secret even from sitting presidents. Who would have the power in this country to decide, if not the president, that the American people don't have a right to know about something so important like UFOs?
Right. This is game changing, and
Peter Ducey looks like a shovel.
It's nature itself. It's not something that should be held back. And presidents have admitted changing, and it's...
If not the president, that the American people don't have a right to know about something so important like UFOs.
Right. This is game changing, and it's nature itself. It's not something that should be held back. And presidents have admitted that they have been held out from that information. Very famously, President Clinton talked about that. Not the first time he said a president's been lied to. Well, now the pressure is on. Congress is asking for these 46 videos. And if we've ever had an administration and a president that sees the public interest and would enact upon that for the people, it would be this sitting president. So I'm very encouraged at this moment. We have an opportunity. None of these have really been announcements. It's an opportunity now for...
Look at that American Security. I guarantee you that's a company he's associated with. That safe back there. He's got it so prominently featured. He's advertised in his book. Yeah, this is the transparency narrative. And continuing with that, let's look. Kash Patel has also spoken on the subject. Kash Patel, the only member of the Trump administration that the latest assassin, would-be assassin, wanted to spare. Why? We don't know. But nevertheless, here is Kash Patel, also on Fox News, talking to Sean Hannity, who pretending to be Bill Maher, pretending to be a podcaster. All these cocksuckers LARP as people like us. Yeah, they're trying to be like us. What a joke.
The idea that there would be...
For those listening, Hannity's in his home studio, like his basement. He's got his jerseys on the wall. He's got his dartboard. He should have some dildos hanging on the wall if he's being actually accurate.
The life on other planets that may be visited here that would not at all shock or surprise me. Have you ever looked into it?
Would that, do you think that's true? 5-10 years ago, he would have mocked anybody who said what he's saying right now.
The idea that there would be life on other planets that may be visited here that would not at all shock or surprise me. Have you ever looked into it?
We're looking at it. Here's the thing. Again,
okay, I want all the details.
Here's the thing. Every other president before President Trump could have said, hey, let's look at that and get the American people the information. What did he do? He stood up.
Also, what did he not say? Just like the other guy, he didn't answer the question about aliens. The premise puts the alien idea in people's minds, and the answer stays completely away from it.
We're looking at it. Here's the thing. Again,
okay, I want all planets that may be visited here that would not at all shock or surprise me. Have you ever looked into it?
We're looking at it. Here's the thing. Again,
okay, I want all the details.
Here's the thing. Every other president before President Trump could have said, hey, let's look at that and get the American people the information. What did he do? He stood up an interagency process with Department of War leading that effort to get out the documentation related to everything that you're talking about, not just from the FBI, from the IC, and everywhere else. And so what do? We already delivered our first tranche of information to that committee, and they're going to be publicly releasing this information very soon. We are all for it. There's nothing in this subject that we're talking about that we don't want released. Our job at the FBI is to work with the White House and DOW, give them the information, and then they're going to put that out in a methodical process. And you're going to start seeing those releases literally happening in the very near future. We just met on it.
That's what he says to his girlfriend. You're going to start seeing these releases in the near future. Because I just had a release. I need a couple minutes. He did not answer anything that he answered nothing right there. You're going to start seeing these releases. This is the narrative that he has been the spokesperson for ever since he became the head of the FBI. And that is the most transparent president in history. And every single subject, he says this exact same thing. He said it about Epstein. He said it about whatever investigations. He says the exact same thing about the transparency. They all have different niches that they fill. He's the head of the FBI. He's actually a spokesperson for a specific niche. He said nothing there. But because of the way the question is framed and the way the stories on this are presented, people see the headlines and they say, oh my gosh, aliens. Even though Trump himself has, when asked, been like, I don't know if aliens are real. People ignore that. Wouldn't he know at this point? Well, the president might not know. Of course the president might not know, but the way they're framing it now is this is the most transparent administration in history. I'm someone who believes in aliens, by the way. I just don't believe any of this. Get rid of that asshole. Finally, I have to say this is my favorite spokesperson for this propaganda narrative. Before we get on to the DARPA clip that I think undermines severely this entire narrative. Anna Paulina Luna, who should have to remove an article of clothing every time she propagates this narrative, in my opinion, if you want to make it interesting. That's all I'm saying. Shovel face F-boy. That's right. All right, here's Anna Paula Luna. Don't do the turtleneck though. We don't put a bathing suit on, Anna. Come on, show us a bathing suit. Show us the babes, Anna Paula Luna. Show us what got you elected to Congress. They have her, they have Nancy Mace, they have Lauren Boebert. They put the dumbest bimbos with the best boobs. They said, you guys go do the alien stuff. And they're like, whoa, put a bathing suit on. Give us something. Again, listen to what she does not say. Although she says some things that the others didn't. But also, what does she not say?
So the interdimensional beings is what our witnesses will call.
It's like frozen. Hold on a second.
Dimensional beings is what our witnesses will call these things.
It's what the witnesses will call these things. And the witnesses are people like David Grush. They're all people. I've gone through this on the show many times. None of them have firsthand accounts. She is like a third-hand account. So the witnesses she is citing, we're not talking about any actual eyewitnesses firsthand. But they call them interdimensional beings. Maybe.
So the interdimensional beings is what our witnesses will call these things. I have seen evidence in a skiff that leads me to believe there are things we cannot explain, and I have observed things that are of non-human origin and creation. That's my opinion.
Was that also in a skiff, or was that just an experience? I've told you guys before, I had what's it called, sleep paralysis experience, where I felt like something was like hovering above me. I don't know what to make of that or how to explain it. This is when I was in college. What are the details on your opinion here? Again, she said her opinion.
But there has been a declassification order from the president, and you will see as soon as that stuff comes up.
Right. So do you think that the American public's going to be super surprised when this comes out, or is it going to be a bit of a nothing burger?
Well, I don't think it'll
Good
be a nothing burger.
So that tells me it's going to be a nothing burger. Is what that tells me. That you guys, I don't know. I mean, the way she said that, it's definitely going to be a nothing burger.
Surprised when this comes out, or is it going to be a bit of a nothing burger?
Well, I don't think it'll be a nothing burger, but, we're not going to tell the American people what to make of it. But I think, when, again, you saw my last hearing that I did with the task force where there was some footage that was entered into the archive, and it's pretty shocking for people.
It wasn't. It was a blip on the radar.
I don't know much tech that can deflect a Hellfire missile. I don't know about you. But, I think
So
that's
what do
the
you
type of
think?
footage that you'll see.
So what do you, if you had to just make a decision now about whether there really were, I guess, aliens moving among us with their strange machines that have all sorts of powers, do you think that's plausible?
I don't call them aliens, and I don't know what these things are that they're using, right? But I think that there's stuff that we have witnessed as members of Congress, been briefed on that we cannot explain. And I will leave it at that because that's going to be coming out soon. And I think that the American people will have many of their...
Hopefully those tatas are going to be coming out soon also. And Paulina Luna. What they do when they take... So Edward Bernays, mentioned at the top of the show, he helped the CIA cause a overthrow of a democratically elected president in Guatemala back in the 50s or 60s. I think it was the 50s. And he writes about it in his autobiography, and the CIA also writes about it. And this is a bunch of corroborating. I'm not jumping to conclusions. This is all in evidence. He brags about it. And the way that it worked was they wanted to regime change the Guatemalan leader. And the way they did it was they made the population there and here believe that he was a communist when he was not a communist. And the way they caused fear in the U.S. to put pressure on people there and then enable them to get support for funding the revolutionaries there that would eventually overthrow, which, by the way, Bill Clinton apologized for this many, many years later for this deception that we pulled on them. There's an official apology from the president for this entire deception. Is Bernays staged, so he worked with the United Fruit Company. So he was doing it on behalf of United Fruit Company crossing over the CIA, and they were working together because United Fruit Company lost a grip on its power over there when this democratically elected president took power. And so Bernays got journalists from the top publications in the U.S., and he said, come over here and we're going to show you that the communism is rising, the Red Scare is real, and if we don't help them do something soon, then it's going to bleed over into America, and then there's nothing that we can do. Kind of like the thing where they say, if Russia takes Ukraine, they're going to take South Carolina next, whatever. So Bernays stages this whole thing where he brings these reporters over, and he stages all these dramas where he shows them exactly what he wants them to see. He staged all these things. He didn't show them the real thing going on over there, the reality. He just shows them these little staged plays that he set up. And then based on that, they go back to America and they all write headlines and articles for the biggest publications in the country that are then blasted around America that create this fear that is artificial, created by Bernays and those he's working with. It's just like we talk about with North Korea. You go over to see North Korea, you're only going to see what the government wants you to see. That's what he brags about doing. And I see people like Anna Paula Luna and all these other idiots in Congress as true believers who are being psyoped by people who know they're gullible and know that they won power by look. She was a MAGA bathing suit model, is what she was. All the people who win elections, it's become, people used to say politics is acting or it's for ugly people. Not anymore. We're starting to replace the ugly people with better looking people because this is the new way to get famous. And as politics. It's all being merged together. And you have these people, we talked about the hidden hand, who know how dumb some of these people are, and who will go to them and show them what they want to see in these skiffs and whatnot, and they know that they will believe anything they hear. And I'm not saying some of them aren't knowingly BSing, but I think many of them, like the guy from Tennessee who talks like this all the time, I think that some of them actually believe what they're saying. And I think that they are being bamboozled and used as useful idiots. Again, I believe in aliens. I don't believe any of this shit.
Questions answered. But, there's stuff declassified years ago out of the Pentagon. Multiple videos, Tic Tacs. I think Tucker Carlson family actually had shown one of the videos. It looked like a pyramid that was flying around. And, people see it. They're like, yep, we knew it. And then they move on. So I don't think that, the Earth is going to stop moving. But I think that for a lot of people that are paying attention, it's just confirmation of kind of something that we already suspected.
It's a confirmation what they suspected. Confirmation bias. It's confirmation bias. Central casting. I agree. There was a day when Luna would show you her ass for $5. Yeah. I mean, I wish we could go back to those days. To what got her elected. She was in the Air Force. I'll give her that, though. Okay, now, she also... So this story takes another turn. It's so many prongs of the story. You have the 10 people who are disappearing. I've done multiple shows on that. How it's just... I'm open-minded to it, but when they add so many in to these disappearing cases or murder cases that are so clearly not connected, but they try and make it seem like they are, then it tells me there's a narrative they're pushing, and it makes me disbelieve the whole thing, or at least very critical of the whole thing. And so where's that video? Before I show you the one about the pastors, let me show you the DARPA thing. So DARPA, hold on, it's in my email. In 2021, this is a woman from Georgia Tech, some DARPA project. Oh my God, are you kidding me? Did I not send that to myself? I don't think I included that. Hold on a second. No, I'm going to show this to you guys because I teased it, so I got to show it. It's on my other computer. I'm going to tell you what it is while I'm looking it up to send it. It's this. It's about cognitive electronic warfare. I've played it before in the show, and it's this woman talking about the capabilities, the new warfare capabilities, and she says at one point that she can only tell us so much because it's classified. And what she describes the ability that they have now to manipulate radars, to manipulate blips on a screen, exactly like the ones we were seeing. And that they can actually make radars of pilots appear to see something on a screen on these blips on a radar. They can make it appear that something is there that's actually not there. So they can create exactly the situation that we are seeing used as evidence for the existence of these UAPs. Admitted DARPA technology that is in existence called cognitive electronic warfare. And that's never brought up ever in any of these cases. And I'm going to show you so you don't have to take my word for it. It's loading. Sorry, I meant to email this to myself earlier. Okay. All right. Just have it now. Let me double check. This is, oh shoot. I don't know this woman's name. I just know she's from Georgia Tech. Okay, here it is. So, how do I share this? Let's try this. All right. Sorry about the delay. Here it is. Cognitive electronic warfare from DARPA.
Dr. Dana Fitzgerald.
Hello, my name is Dr. Dana Fitzgerald. I am a researcher at the Georgia Tech Research Institute. And today I want to talk to you about cognitive electronic warfare. But before I do that, I want to make two notes about this presentation. First, cognitive electronic warfare is a highly active research area, one in which a lot of researchers are making groundbreaking contributions today. I will not have time to do it justice in the next 5 minutes, so bear with me. The second is that it's a highly classified research area, one in which I can't go into detail if I had time anyway, because I'd have to walk out of here in an orange jumpsuit. In order to prevent that, I'm going to instead try to convey to you the importance of this field to the modern warfighter and tell you about some of the systems GTRI is building today that solve some of these modern battle space problems. Okay, so what is electronic warfare? It's simple. It's the idea of being able to control the electromagnetic spectrum for our own nefarious purposes. Now, you might ask me, Dana, why? Why do you feel the need to control the electromagnetic spectrum? What is the adversary doing in that spectrum that makes you feel the need to disrupt it, to control it? That's simple as well. The adversary is typically using the electromagnetic spectrum in order to sense its surroundings, in order to gain a good situational awareness picture. All right, so you might picture it this way. I'm sitting on a fighter jet, and I'm flying into enemy territory. I'm flying towards a ground-based system of my adversary. Inevitably, military grade, it has a set of radars on it. Their entire purpose is to be able to scan their surroundings to gain a situational awareness picture. They're there to detect large flying metal objects coming towards them like mine.
Yeah.
They immediately see me, they recognize I am hostile, and they shoot me down. I can't perform my mission. So instead, we think of a different scenario, scenario 2. In this case, I decide to equip my fighter jet with an electronic warfare payload. Now I fly into this scenario, and my adversary is confused. I've used my electronic warfare payload to disrupt the spectrum to make them think I'm not there. I can also make them think I'm there, but in a completely different location. I've confused them, I've managed to get in, perform my mission, and get out safely. This is electronic warfare at its core. Now, there are modern problems we have to face in this area. They're listed on this chart for you to peruse as you like, but I'll give you the Cliffs Notes, right? The biggest problem we're facing as far as modern electronic warfare is concerned is the unrelenting stepping forward in research on the sensing side. These sensors, these radar sensors, they are not stagnant. There's a lot of research going into them to make them better, to make them more adaptive. They have the capability now to be able to autonomously detect that they're being jammed and to counter that detection, to counter that jamming. And so we have to build systems today that can adapt in their environments. All right, so GTRI is building these systems now. So these cognitive payloads are being placed into our electronic warfare systems, and their sole purpose is to be able to detect novel emissions in the environment by our adversary as they adapt when they see us doing what we're trying to do. Then we're able to characterize those emissions, and we're able to generate new techniques on the fly, new electronic attacks that are able to be generated in situ. So we're essentially training jammers how to jam, right? Allowing us to equip our modern warfighter with protective capability so they can perform their mission safely. So this is a highly active research area again. It's very exciting. I am running out of time, and that's probably good because I can't say much more than that. But again, I'm Dr. Dana Fitzgerald. I'm a researcher in this area. If you have interest in this.
Okay, Dr. Dana, and there's even newer videos on the same subject where they can create the blip that the pilots see on a radar. And it's classified. How long have they been able to do this? I don't know. Longer than they would tell us. How can we believe any of this evidence that's being presented about flying crafts when we know that there is classified research and technology already in existence that can create a blip that's not actually there. Peter Doocy, please ask the president this question next time you get the chance. Shovel face. Spirit of the Age says, too bad. EU doesn't seem to work very well. Little to no effect in both Iran and Russia. Well, maybe they might say that. You watch videos, DARPA videos aren't, they seem to think it's fantastic. Of course, they're going to tell a different story for a different audience. Orange jumpsuits are for crazy inmates. What do the non-crazy inmates get? Pinstripe? Oh, so here's this other story that Anna Pauluna got in on too. About, so Trump said the alien files are going to be released. You guys saw that. And then there was this pastor. He's an evangelical pastor, kind of a grifter, if you know a little bit about it. I mean, it doesn't mean everything he says is bullshit, but definitely a grifter. But he wasn't the one actually making the claim, despite the stories. The story that he puts out there, and the dude's name is, what's his name? What's the dude's name? I can't remember his name. His name is Perry Stone. And this is where this story. So the story is that a bunch of pastors were gathered together in some meetings in Tennessee, and they were told by, we don't know if it's a government official or who, it's uncertain, that they need to prepare their congregations for the disclosure of aliens. They need to get them ready to accept it because it could cause a lot of conflict in their beliefs about existence and their religion. And now Anna Pauluna is also part of the story. I'll tell you that after I play the video that started the story by this guy who wasn't actually there. He didn't claim to be there, this Perry guy. Where's the first? Oh, there it is. Okay. Did I really get both wrong videos here? Here it is. If you guys know anything about this guy, tell me what you know about him. I've just started researching him recently.
I want you to give me your attention for the next few moments of something that came to my attention very, very recently. I had a friend that sent me a text message. I was in a meeting, a weekend meeting, preaching Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning. And he said, Perry, can you give me a call? I have some information that has come to my attention. Of course, when a friend of yours does that you know quite well, you have no idea what information they're talking about. And I'm not going to go into great detail, but there were a large number of pastors that had been invited to go to a certain state to hear some men in the United States government and others share with them a concern that they had. And this particular man, and I'll not name him, and then we may end up doing some teachings with him or having an event at his church. He has a great church. But he said, Perry, what they're about to release from...
By the way, everything is always a secondhand, third-hand source right now. I mean, that's just the biggest con. It didn't used to be so obvious. They used to at least try and do first-hand sources back in the day. Everything, all the time, is sources far removed.
Church, he has a great church. But he said, Perry, what they're about to release, from what we're hearing, there's going to be a release concerning aliens and concerning unidentified flying object spacecraft that some of the people who were in the meeting were telling us as pastors, you need to prepare your people and you need to get ready to answer them for what you're about to hear being released. And some of it has to do with crafts that have been discovered that are not allegedly a part of our planet, and the materials they're made of are not a part of our planet. Very strange reptilian-looking creatures and other things that almost sound
reptilian creatures,
like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It sounds like he talked to somebody at a bar late at night. Maybe I love talking about this stuff when for fun. Sounds like he talked to somebody for fun at a bar.
Movie or an orc allegedly a part of our planet, and the materials they're made of are not a part of our planet. Very strange reptilian-looking creatures and other things that almost sound like something out of a sci-fi movie or an Orson Welles book. And so here's what he was sharing with me. We discussed a little bit. What are these things that are appearing? Steven Spielberg is about to do a movie.
Yeah, interesting timing.
And he's basing it on some of what I've been told, the information that he's come across, that he's had research presented to him. So it's like a sci-fi movie, but it's not a sci-fi movie. Now, I want to say this. I want you to listen to me very carefully what I'm going to say. What I'm going to say is going to be a little bit controversial, but my son wants him and I. Now, my son's way out there. I'm letting you know up front. He's got some theories, and it's like, Jonathan, where did you come up with that? And he's a researcher. He's wide open on a lot of things that most people would not even be aware of, or some people wouldn't be interested in, but others are definitely interested in. Okay, first of all, we read this in the Bible. By faith, we understand that the worlds were created and framed by the Word of God. Now, the worlds there would be the planets, the earth. And remember this, that in the second heaven, first heaven is, when you have the earth, you have the first heaven, which is the clouds in the atmosphere, 60 miles up. But when you get past that into the darkness of the heaven, into the cosmos, let's say it that way, you have the sun, moon, and stars, you have the nebulas, you have the constellations, you have the galaxies, you have the Milky Way. I mean, the Milky Way is not just, we're just a pinpoint of what stretches out there. And they say that creation continues to expand. Well, that's because when God said, let there be light, it continues to create. I have no problem with the expanding universe theory, because God never took back his word. God said, let there be, and boom, it continues to create. So that's another subject in itself. But there are stories out there, and some of them I'm not going to tell because I don't want to get caught up with people taking what I say and trying to edit.
He just told us that lizard people are there, but he doesn't want to say this stuff. Team Alien, says Forrest Mommy.
Edit it and clip it and make it say things I didn't. This is the kind of stuff I would teach at one of my conferences more than I would on a YouTube channel, or definitely more than I would on social media, because...
Dude, how many OnlyFans accounts does this guy subscribe to is my question.
People read into what you say, they add to what you say, they take away from what you say, they make you say things you didn't say, then they create some kind of AI that definitely was not you. But here's what I want to tell you. According to the men who were present, who have the information, they said to these pastors, you're going to have two responses more than likely when all this information is eventually released. Now, I don't know what the total information is. I know a little bit about what it's about, but apparently whatever this is very serious. And number one, you're going to have people who are going to say, if if there are galaxies and there are allegedly other creations in the galaxies, then the whole creation story is a myth. And you're going to have people that's going to apostatize and turn from the Christian faith because they have no answer for what they're about to hear. Then they said the opposite will be. There will be a group of people who are not followers of Christ, are not followers of the Bible, and they're going to freak out, and they're going to come to pastors, ministers, and teachers and say, what is this? Is this really real? Now, my son thinks that a lot of this is going to be government fabrications to eventually, over time, explain away disappearances. Now, you know, this is not a movie.
Okay, then he goes into the 10 scientists disappear. So then he goes into a bullshit story. I love the way he says, what? So his son, basically, he keeps going back to his son, who's just referencing theories that no proof is actually provided. And this became the basis of a story that I saw a number of people cover. I saw it on Fox. I think I saw it on CNN. I know Tim Pool covered it, a series of these pastors. Now, did this meeting happen? Well, first of all, Anna Paula Luna is very interested in that question because she is monitoring the situation. That's what's interesting, because she's telling her story and this guy's telling this story, but she is here to fact check that story. She needs to know. Yeah, she needs to speak to this guy. As you can see, she was in the replies of dude. She said here, really, question mark, in response to a shorter clip of this video. Have not heard this, and we're running point on it. She's running point on this. How about running point on getting yourself in a bathing suit, Anna Paula? That's what we would like to see you running point on. But also, good to question this guy. And after that, what we had is we had another evangelical who shared that same video. And this guy's name is Alan, D-I-D-I-O, spelled D, capital D, lowercase I, capital D, did. It looks like dildo, is what I'm saying. Can you guys see that one? Yeah, share this one. So this guy shares that short video, says, I was in this meeting and it's absolutely true. And then in the comments, monitoring the conversation, Anna Paulina Luna says, please provide us who you talk to. Also, good question. Then he says, Alan Didio says, would love to connect. Would love to connect with you and even have you on our program. Yeah, I'm sure you would, Alan Didio. I'm sure you would. We all would. I want to go ahead and put it out there. Anna Paulina Luna would love to connect with you, have you on the program also. Open invitation. It's bullshitters replying to bullshitters who maybe none of them know they're bullshitters. Some of them do a little bit. The guy isn't Christian. I don't disagree. I don't know him well enough, but these people are yet to be. There's a lot of good pastors out there, but there's also a lot of scam artists. You have to be careful. They're all closet Catholics, in my opinion. Jesuit theater, says Neil. Maybe it's a lot of religion is definitely exploited by grifters. There's no doubt about it. It's unfortunate. Everything that has influence attracts grifters to it. And I believe is that the only last video I want to show? Oh, the group Also suggested that the revelations were part of a plot designed to pull people away from Christianity, while some ultra-conservative voices in the Trump administration have taken up an anti-alien stance. I believe that is their demon stance. So that's the back and forth here. They're either aliens or demons. Some people say it's China, maybe. That's probably what they're going to eventually say. I say it's a psyop. And they're going to need it's a dumb psyop. I think newer conspiracy theorists are into it, because I have met some people doing stand-up shows that are newer conspiracy theorists that are really into it. They ask me if I'm into it. I'm like, well, you should listen to my show. I'll tell you what I think about it. I think they're targeting newer conspiracy theorists with this one. Anna Paulina Luna, open invitation. Come on to the show. Let's discuss it. I'll let you into my skiff. You know what happens in the skiff stays in the skiff. Is that it? Yeah, I think that's all on the alien nonsense. It's just so exhausting. So much time is spent on it too. It's that going back to Ted Turner, 24-hour news cycle. Always got to have something to feed our addicted to news minds. And finally, I think maybe I'll show one of those campaign ads. Americans are losing friends over politics at record rates, according to a study. Don't know how much we should trust the study. Democrats were more likely, it says, to walk away. These are just some summaries from the findings. I'd be interested if it checks out with you guys and your IRL lives, in real life lives. I guess that was redundant. It says more than a third of Americans, 37%, report having lost at least one relationship due to political differences, including friendships, family ties, co-worker relationships, and romantic partners, with most losing more than one. The summary of the study says that Democrats were more likely than Republicans to report a political breakup, because they're kind of bitches. And among those who had one, 66% of Democrats said they were the ones who ended it, compared to 27% of Republicans, also sometimes bitches. Political breakups have surged since 2016 and may be accelerating. The 2024 election produced a higher breakup rate than the 2016 election in roughly half the time, though researchers caution the evidence is limited. Caution. People who experienced political breakups held more hostile and distorted views of the other side, rating opposing voters nearly 8 points colder on a 100-point scale, and significantly overestimating how extreme opponents' beliefs actually are. That was the most interesting part of it to me, because that's very obvious. People are judging those who disagree with him based on the stereotype, the extreme stereotype of the opposition that they experience online is what they're doing. They're not listening and reacting in the moment to the people they interact with. They're seeing them as a stereotype. And once that confirmation bias is triggered, that's all they see them as. And that is the power of the social media infecting the real life. You want to overcome all this psyop that we're all experiencing, is you have these one-on-one conversations and interactions, and you become very, very aware of what that stereotype of the enemy that you've been propagated with is, and you make sure that you aren't letting that stereotype get triggered and fall into the trap of interpreting anybody who disagrees with you as that. You stay in the moment. You listen to who they are and find out who they are, and you defeat this entire PSYOP operation. That's how you defeat it, is you rail against the stereotypes of the enemy that they're trying to propagate into your mind. Because it is only accepting that will enable the divide and conquer PSYOP to continue working. All right, I'm going to do the political ads from California on the next show. You guys have seen all those, I'm sure. Let's look at some Met Gala outfits and we'll get out of here. Something a little lighter. Something a little. Yeah, the military's tied with any influential place. Christian, all of them. Knowingly or they're always, see a dude, see a D's. D's laughs up in Canada. I love this headline. The 2026 Met Gala was haunted by Jeff Bezos. What a dramatic headline. Protesters use bottles of fake pee to draw attention to working conditions in Amazon wet warehouses. Give me a break. God, go give me a break. Who does that? Whose fake pee is it? That's the question I have. Are the protesters peeing in the bottles themselves and using those as the protest? Or they're probably not. They're probably not allowed to bring their own pee. They say fake pee. What do you mean fake pee? What's fake pee? What, apple juice? What are we talking about here? You go to a costume store, get some fake urine. I'm guessing this is real urine. It's probably organizers, probably Stacey Abrams pissed into a bunch of bottles and said, tell them it's fake pee. And they're all like, it's a little warm, smells real. Okay. They just pass them out to these idiots protesting it. Yeah, take a sip of it. It's fake. Tastes real. I'm going to stop because I could get real gross here. What a dumb. And then you come down here, and this is what the people who went did. Honestly, they should have been drinking fake pee. These are the outfits. The one on the left, I don't know who this is. She looks, I don't know what that is. She looks like spinach got electrocuted. This one is like next to her in the white and the mask here. Looks like the new iteration of a Butterface. You know, no longer do you have to use the brown paper bag. You have this space alien mask, and perhaps you can project any AI image of a prettier woman on that mask. And then you have what appears to be, what is this? Kind of flower she dressed as here. It's hard to see the flower she's trying to dress as over her giant breasts that she's featuring. It's just feature your breast. Don't pretend that you're a daffodil or whatever this shit is. Or you're not a sunflower. You're a black woman with large breasts and flowers in your hair. And this guy looks like, I don't know, a homosexual is what he looks like. He's dressed as a homosexual. Let's see what else we got. What is this? Okay, here we have a naked woman, a naked black woman with a crown and some sort of see-through. Looks like she's dressed in diamonds, but also naked. And then this looks like, I don't know who this guy is on the right, but he's dressed as one of a congressional page for Lindsey Graham, who in his spare time runs with the Bulls. That's what he looks like. Then you have Heidi Bloom dressing as a Statue of Liberty if she were 97 years old. What is this? How much time did she spend on this? Who convinced her? By the way, where's the penis? Some people believe there's a penis on the Statue of Liberty. If you're going to go bold, put the penis on there, Heidi. Here is the woman in the middle, dressed as what appears to be a palette of paint if it had anorexia. Let's see what else we got here. There's 6 homosexuals there, 2 more homosexuals. Nothing against it. I'm just pointing out. I'm just calling what we see. I don't know what this woman has $1 on her face. And it looks like she dressed up as a dust ball. She's a dust ball with a dollar on her face. I don't even know what this on the right is. I'm speechless. It's some sort of, it's like a curtain if it became a transsexual black man, woman, man, I don't know. Biological velvet curtain became a biological black man. That's, I can't even. And here is Bad Bunny dressed as elderly Bad Bunny. What the fuck is that? I get it. I get the point. The point is to be retarded. Like this guy, like Lindsey Graham's congressional page as a bull runner. You can see the blue stained semen from Lindsey Graham on the inside of his eye. This woman is not naked, but she has a nipple drawn on her dress, a cartoon nipple. Look at all these people in the background taking photos. What a bunch of simps. Give me a break. They should be dressed stupid. Are they not allowed to dress stupid? Why can't somebody be dressed as a big dildo or something in the back? I mean, they should be able to do that. She's dressed kind of normal. I don't know what this is. So many of these. Okay. Who is this guy? I mean, give me a break, dude. I mean, the YMCA, this looks like somebody performing at a Trump rally right here. This looks like somebody singing a song Trump is dancing to. Okay, now we're talking. Now we're talking. Kylie Jenner, who wears an outfit with built-in nipples. What is this? It's so it's like a skin outfit, and it's like she's taking it off. She was dressed as I saw it earlier. She was trying to mimic a statue. This is so stupid. There's death become a paint palette right there. Jesus Christ. What a douchebag. I can't even take this anymore. This is so retarded. It's so retarded. A dog would piss on them. Yeah, they drink it. They would then drink it. I'm surprised somebody didn't come with a dog and their costume is a dog peeing on them. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. It's going to be the end of the show. I'm going to go drive through the flood waters. Hopefully survive. I have 4-wheel drive. I'll be okay. Subscribe to the Propaganda Report podcast on your podcast listening platforms. If you want to get access to the subscriber-only content that I do with Austin Picard and Sam Tripoli called Whatever This Is, you can get that on propreport.com, propreport.locals.com, patreon.com/propaganda report. Subscribe to the lowest tier there. That's what we're offering. And you can also get access to the audio version of the show ad-free. I take out the ads for subscribers only. And if you don't want to subscribe, you can leave a 5-star review that warms my heart. Share the show with your friends. It helps us show up higher in the search engine rankings. And also, if you're listening on audio and you're not a subscriber, let the ads play through if you can. That helps us. If the ads are skipped, we do not get anything. To give you a comparison, when I was on WSB, a 3-hour show would actually be an hour and a half of show and then an hour and a half of penis pill ads. 90 minutes of ads. Here, it's like maybe 5 minutes. So let them play through, get a beverage. It helps us out a lot. And subscribe on youtube.com/Brad Binkley, rumble.com/Propaganda Report. And you can get all my links in bio on X at Freedom Act Radio. Also, you can make a one-time donation at paypal.me/Brad Binkley. Thank you guys for the laughs as well. It's always fun chatting with you guys, and we will do it again soon. Y'all have a fantastic rest of y'all's day.